Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. This is my gut reaction to Nebraska's 24-17 overtime loss to Wisconsin. Man, when this game started, I was like, whoa, where has this been? Where has this offense been? Where have they been hiding Chubby Purdy? And I know he's been battling that growing injury, but I was like, whoa, this is like fun to watch. We go right down the field and score on both of our drives. Okay, I've got it in my notes here, but I was like, whoa, we might just beat them like 35 to 10. I digress. All right, if you wish we'd been more aggressive at the end of regulation, trying to win the game, like me, smash the like button. All right, Chubby Purdy starts the game at quarterback. As I mentioned, been battling that growing injury. Basically, the team doctor said he can't hurt it anymore. Hey, he seems to be moving around just fine to me. All right, now last week, again, beginning to end of the game, you know how I do this. Last week versus Northwestern, Wisconsin's defense, they looked awful, honestly. The whole team did. But they allowed 11 first downs on 17 third down attempts by Northwestern. Northwestern converted on all of their first 10 third down conversion attempts to start the game. Now, the Huskers' first drive, as I mentioned, touchdown, 3rd and 3. Chubby Purdy scrambles 55 yards for a touchdown. Huskers lead 7-0. Now, I knew he could run. I knew he was faster than people realized. But Purdy's fast. And I think he surprised Wisconsin's defense with his speed, and me with his speed too. All right. One of Wisconsin's coaches talking about our defense as they get the ball, okay? And I quote, Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker, the two best defensive tackles we'll see all year long, end quote. That's what they had to say about Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker, the polar bear. Now, Wisconsin does not score, does not have a lot of success in their first 12 drives, their first couple of drives, first 12 plays. I think they had like 12 yards or something like that. I'll double check. All right, Nebraska's second drive, a beautiful touchdown pass from Chubby Purdy to freshman wide receiver Jalen Lloyd on a skinny post. By the way, he's also very fast. Okay, he broke a tackle and outran everybody else on Wisconsin's defense. Nebraska's up 14-0. The fireworks are rolling. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Badgers starting quarterback, SMU transfer Tanner Mordecai, who's missed much of the year due to injury, did start this game. Okay, he played last week as well, but he's battling injuries. End of the first quarter. Again, I was still feeling really, really good at this point. Nebraska had 162 total yards. Wisconsin had 32 total yards. The Huskers were averaging 8.3 yards per rush. The Badgers were averaging 2 yards per carry. And I think I even said something on Facebook and Twitter. All right, it's early, and I mentioned those stats. I said, it's early, but let's keep it up. All right, now, we have a lot of youth on offense. Again, I wrote this down when we were up 14-0. It doesn't change the fact that we're really young on offense, but I was like, man, looking towards the future a little too early in the game, I'll admit. But, all right, maybe you'll find this interesting. Our starting quarterback today, Chubby Purdy's a sophomore. Our starting running back, freshman. 2 of our starting receivers are sophomore and a freshman, and also another key wide receiver that we have, Jalen Lloyd, who scored the Huskers' second touchdown as a freshman as well. We have 2 sophomore tight ends. The left side of the offensive line that started tonight, sophomore and a freshman, left tackle, left guard. 7 underclassmen start on offense tonight, okay, and only 2 seniors start. 4 freshmen started and or had major contributions tonight due to all of our offense's injuries throughout the year. The younger, talented, everyone's talented, but younger and talented guys are getting more opportunities and experience. And in fact, our starting quarterback tonight was at one point 3rd string this year, and our starting running back was 4th string this year. Not excuses for why we lost. Again, I wrote this when we were up 14-0. So I was looking at it completely different. All right, second quarter, 6:40 left before halftime. Defensive lineman Ty Robinson drops into coverage. Not his strength. Wisconsin throws a touchdown pass, 14-7. Okay, it's now the score. Huskers lead. Now, that was the Badgers' 9th touchdown pass of the year. Coming into the game, they only had 8. They were tied for the fewest in the Big Ten Conference with Nebraska and Iowa. Okay. Not exactly the air raid offense the Badgers fans were hoping for coming into the season with their new offensive coordinator. Okay, but obviously they found some things that worked as the game went along. Tonight they made some adjustments. It's that simple. Again, these are my notes as the game's playing out. 150 5 left before halftime. Wisconsin makes a short field goal. Huskers lead 14-10. All right. The winner of tonight's game, as we know, both teams are 5-5, is going to become bowl eligible. Now, it's been 6 years since Nebraska's been to a bowl game. If you're not sick of hearing that, I don't know how you aren't. Okay, that's been our longest drought as a football program without going to a bowl game since 1955 to 1961, 7 technical seasons. All right, Wisconsin's 21 consecutive bowl games coming into this year was the 3rd longest streak in FBS. Obviously, it's now going to be 22, but they were trying to keep that alive at 21 at this point in time that I wrote that note. Huskers drive down the field. 8 seconds before halftime. Throw the ball, almost run the clock out. Okay, 1 second remains before halftime, and I was like, oh my God, we almost Marcus Satterfield, and I feel bad for saying that, but that was my thought at the point. Tristan Alvano unfortunately misses the field goal. Huskers lead, a rare halftime lead for the Huskers, 14-10. Now my thoughts at halftime. Offense looks pretty good at this point. Okay, you can see why Chubby Purdy was highly recruited. Again, halftime notes. The concept of the forward pass is back in the great state of Nebraska. Ugh. All right, offense looked good, moved the ball well, continued to take care of the ball. Okay, I think we ended up with no turnovers on the night. The defense needs to make some adjustments because you could see Wisconsin was figuring things out. This is where you could see their coaches were making adjustments and we needed to make adjustments. All right, we needed to figure out a way to slow down what is really not a great Wisconsin Badger offense. Okay, their first 12 plays, Wisconsin only had 12 yards. There it is. I did make that note. Okay, but at this point, they had scored 10 unanswered points since those first 12 plays. Okay. And my thought was, at that point, the offense looks good. Can our offense and defense both gel at the same time? Okay, just my halftime thoughts. I wanted to be the stronger, more physical team in the second half. I'm so sick and tired of Wisconsin pushing us around year after year, but in the second half of games, way too often. And that was my note right here. Okay, and if we do that in the second half, we're going to win the game. I'm tired of that being the case over the years. All right, now the Blackshirts did have 2 sacks in the first half, but there was times when Mordecai was sitting back there with all day to throw, too. Like, we needed to find ways to get more consistent pressure on Wisconsin's quarterback. All right, Bryce Benhart, all right, this was a halftime note, made his 40th career start tonight with Chubby Purdy starting tonight. The Huskers' 3rd different starting quarterback of the year. This is the first time the Huskers have started 3 different starting quarterbacks since 2013 when they started Tommy Armstrong, Taylor Martinez, and Ron Kellogg. Some interesting halftime stats. Nebraska more than doubled Wisconsin's offensive output at that point in total yards. Okay, the Huskers had 270 total yards. Wisconsin had 133. We were 10 of 12 passing, which was our highest completion percentage at halftime or in a half in the entire season. Okay, and we were averaging 12 yards per pass at that point. Also, the highest of any half of the season. Okay, and at that point, Wisconsin had passed the ball 15 times, ran it 11. Obviously, they ran the ball more as the game went along. They played some power football when it mattered the most. We did get some stops, but couldn't get the key stops in overtime. Okay, it was just weird to see them passing the ball more than they were rushing in the first half. Now, we were averaging 5.3 yards per rush. They were averaging 4.1 at that point, which is a little high for our Blackshirts typically throughout the year. Time of possession, we had the huge advantage, not so much at the end of the game, but at halftime, 18 minutes, 25 seconds to 11:35. And we had a huge rush yards advantage at halftime, 126 on our behalf to 45 rushing yards for the Badgers. Now, my next note, Wisconsin has clearly made adjustments. That second half is just starting. How do our coaches answer? I wanted to see the second half. All right, 7:47 left in the third quarter. Wisconsin running back Braylon Allen, okay, has a touchdown run. He's been out with an injury, okay, and really wasn't even sure if he was going to play tonight. The guy was a warrior tonight. You got to tip your cap to their quarterback, their running back. They were tough. They played tough. They clearly wanted it. Okay. They cap off a 10-play, 79-yard drive, took 4:31 off the clock, 17 unanswered points at this point. Wisconsin leads 17-14. Now, my wife texted me exactly actually what I was thinking at this point in time. Here's her text, and I quote, "It looks like Wisconsin wants it more," end quote. And that's how I felt at that point in time, too. Now, it wasn't until 8:39 left in the fourth quarter. Okay, the Blackshirts defense stuffed Wisconsin short on a 3rd down and then short on a 4th down attempt. I felt like we might have a little momentum finally, okay, and I might have even been back-to-back 4th down stops, 2 consecutive Wisconsin drives at that point. I have to go back and watch the film to confirm. Now, Nebraska in the fourth quarter had 13 turnovers throughout the year. Okay, no turnovers so far tonight in this game. The problem is our offense has basically been dead for a while now in the game. Okay, at that point, we hadn't done anything since those first two drives when I was so excited talking about, the forward pass is back and we're going to score like 50,000 points, and we had basically been dead since those first two drives. Now, I do have some weird stats. I don't know. I wrote them down. It'd land better if we'd won the game, but here it is, okay? The Blackshirts last year gave up 414 yards per game. Okay, coming into this game, they had narrowed that down to 307 total yards per game and only allowed 79 yards per rushing coming into the game tonight. Vast improvement, as we know. Again, just interesting stats now. This is not so interesting. It was not so great, but it's interesting. Basically, we're every team's slump buster, all right? We are the team you want to play if you're on a losing streak. So basically, Michigan State had lost 6 in a row, boom, beat us. Maryland had lost 4 in a row, boom, beat us. Wisconsin had lost 3 in a row, boom, beat us. All right, we've now lost 3 in a row. So we got to figure out a way to bust, to get a win. All right, and the field goal right before half that we missed really hurt us, obviously, as the game wore along. Now, Evan Bland had an interesting tweet throughout the game. Okay, and this is per Evan Bland on Twitter. Fun fact, Nebraska starting quarterback Chubby Purdy, his given name is Preston, but Chubba caught on as a nickname from his dad when he reached 38 pounds as a 1-year-old. One other interesting stat about Chubba, okay, Chubby Purdy's only a sophomore in college, okay? But he's also only 18 months younger than his older brother, who starts for the San Francisco 49ers. And he's been in the league in a couple years, that's Brock Purdy. All right, one last interesting stat. Again, this would land better if we'd won, but our starting offensive tackles, Bryce Benhart and Teddy Prohaska, are 6'10" and 6'9". That's really freaking tall. Okay, now, where are we at? I lost my train of thought. All right, 3:27 left in the game. Wisconsin's punting near midfield. Kobe Brett comes unblocked on a Wisconsin punt. He could have blocked it. Didn't lay out for it for fear of a penalty, okay, and fear of making that mistake, a possible missed opportunity on special teams. Now, the Huskers get the ball on their 20-yard line. Nebraska 8 plays, 68 yards later, game-tying 30-yard field goal made by Tristan Alvano. We're tied 17-17 going into overtime. Now, I'm glad we tied it, but that was not great clock management, I did not think. I felt like we were playing for the field goal instead of trying to win at that point. Now, the Badgers get the ball, okay? We basically kick their butts on 1st and 2nd down, convert a long 3rd down. Kick their butt on 1st and 2nd down, then they convert a 4th down as well around the 4-yard line. Then Braylon Allen runs it in for a touchdown. Wisconsin leads 24-17. They basically just shoved the whole pile into the end zone. All right, the Huskers were unable to score or even get a first down on their possession. In overtime, Wisconsin wins 24-17. We were outscored 24-3 after the first quarter. I'm upset, and maybe I'll change my mind later after I watch the film, but I feel like we were outcoached this game. I just do. 24-3 after the first quarter. That's coming in with a great game plan. Nebraska, first 2 drives scoring, but not great in-game adjustments. Not trying to take a shot, but it sounds like the previous regime and what would happen with them. This is the 3rd straight game between Nebraska and Wisconsin decided by 1 score. This is a game we absolutely had a phenomenal opportunity to win, and we did not do it. All right, questions, hit me up in the comments below. What's your gut reaction to this game? Your thoughts on Chubby Purdy's performance and how you feel about him most likely being our starting quarterback going forward. Yes or no? Just simply let me know yes or no. Will Nebraska go to a bowl game or not? None of this 5-7 crap either. I want to be 6-6 and go. All right. As always, check out CarrikerChronicles.com. All right, John Johnston's putting up his reaction. Corn Craze putting up his reaction. Rob Zadiska, Doc Talk. Check it out, CarrikerChronicles.com, and throw the bones.
If you're a diesel mechanic, CDL driver, or concrete finisher looking for work in the Omaha metro area, DPS Construction is the employer. For you, if you're a general contractor, building owner, or property manager looking for concrete repair or work done in the Omaha metro area, such as street paving, building floors, and parking lots, check out dpsconstruction.net.